a lot of people are reading Pritzker's remarks about people not accommodating Republicans as a shot, for instance, at Gavin Newsom, who's brought MAGA people onto his podcast. And Michael covered both the J.D. Pritzker speech and remarks by the congressman from New Hampshire, who's now running for the Senate seat. And it's a contrast in two strands we've seen in the party going back to the Reagan era. When do you accommodate and say you want to work with the other side, which is appealing to a lot of voters? And when do you give red meat to the base? So, Michael, talk about the two experiences you covered, please.
So huge response yesterday, 800 people at this event where they're cheering Pritzker on as he says, basically, we need to mount the barricades. He was actually saying, I'm calling for us to rise up, give the Republicans no peace. And just hours earlier, the local TV station did a conversation with the candidates kind of piece with a roundtable of the public in which the probably next U.S. Senator from New Hampshire, Democrat Chris Pappas, is saying, I think we've got to find a way to work together. He would not call for the end of the filibuster. He actually said the filibuster is good because it brings us together on Israel and Gaza instead of the Pritzker, free Palestine. It was, I think we've got to look at both sides and they're a good ally. And I'm just going to myself, these two people are in two different parties. And my question for Dan and Sean is, New Hampshire's not, some people call it a swing state. It's not a swing state. It's a federal Democrat state, swing state level state. But Georgia, Michigan, Arizona, these are swing states. Is the way to win a general election really the Pritzker, who, by the way, remember, very extreme on immigration, support sanctuary cities, et cetera, very extreme on biological males and female sports. And he said in a speech yesterday, we've got to stop backing down, stand by our principles, but with a better message. Is that really the way to win in Michigan, North Carolina, and Georgia, as opposed to the Pappas model, which is, why can't we all just get along?
And Dan, I'll just bridge to you by saying, even in presidential politics, nomination politics, winning the nomination typically goes to the most liberal person who's moderate enough, the voters think, to win a general election. So that's part of why I'm skeptical about Pritzker. But Dan, talk about the debate within the party that Michael's highlighting, please.
I mean, and I completely agree with all of you. I don't think that's the way to win a general election, but you can't win the general without winning the primary. And I think JB has just decided, he looks at Whitmer, he looks at Shapiro, and others, and just says, I am not going to be able to compete with them, but I can try to compete because I'm from Illinois as the just, progressive, unapologetic flamethrower. And as you said, and others noted, he got standing ovation after standing ovation with the base. I would imagine if he went to Iowa, which is an even more progressive primary, it's a caucus, but mix, he's going to get a good reception. If you look at the history of these candidates, Howard Dean, Bernie Sanders, they do not ultimately win the nomination, but they have a moment, they peak, and then when they start getting pressed on details, it's like a little bit of a hamada, whether it was Medicaid for all or whatever. So I don't think J.B. Pritzker will get there. I think Illinois is a mess. I don't think that's going to be a winning message, but he is the first to get out. He is the first to not back down, and he'll get some votes for that.
So, look, I think to answer Michael's question, they're running two different races. J.B. Pritzker is running to be the most liberal person in the party and to catch fire, right? Chris Pappas is running to be the senator from New Hampshire. And I think Chris Pappas's comments, and obviously Michael is, I have spent plenty of time in New Hampshire, but not as extensively as Michael in terms of being there and covering it. But I thought that Pappas's comments were much more in line with New Hampshire's broader electorate, whereas Pritzker clearly was playing to a populist base for a potential early primary. And again, remember, one of the things, Mark brought this up weeks ago, we don't know where this primary in New Hampshire is going to be. I mean, I think I know where it's going to be ultimately if the Secretary of State has a say in this. But the bottom line is, I think Pritzker is playing to that extreme left because he knows that's what it takes. He can't get to a general election. And this goes back to the previous person's comments. If you don't win the primary, you're not in the general. So you got to do what you can to win it. Pappas, I think, is already trying to position himself as the electable guy, for not just a primary potentially in New Hampshire, but for the general.
Hey, want to be part of the two-way community all the time? Hit the subscribe button. Great video clips like this, plus conversations like no other, full episodes and more, always available on this channel. You got to hit subscribe to never miss a thing.